She had a second phone. It vibrated under the passenger seat when she stepped out to grab coffee. I picked it up. No lock. Just names I didn't recognize and one photo I can't forget. I didn't get angry. I opened a spreadsheet. The coffee shop she liked was a small drive-through, no seating, 10 minutes from our place. I never went with her. She always left after breakfast and came back sipping from a straw, acting like she needed it to face the day. That morning she left her purse in the car. She rarely did that. Said she didn't trust people. The irony didn't hit me until I heard the soft buzz under her seat, not her regular phone. That one was in her purse. I reached down, lifted the burner. No password. Either arrogance or frequency made her lazy. One swipe revealed enough. The gallery opened to an image of her in the bathroom mirror, holding a shirt that wasn't mine, messages with saved names that had no last names, emojis in place of identifiers. Most were deleted, but threads remained open. She stepped out of the coffee shop, bag in hand, casual as ever. I had already dropped the phone back under the seat. That was the moment I started the list. I used a different notes app, one she couldn't access. Routine audit was the folder name. Inside, entry dates, time of discovery, photos logged, audio plans, backtrack methods. That night, I told her I had extra work, set up in the home office, noise-canceling headphones. She assumed I was too busy to care. I watched the synced screen of her second phone from my laptop. She texted him, "He's working again tonight." He replied with a photo of a hotel key, same one as 2 weeks ago. I logged it. I booked a room across the hall from the same hotel. Not for confrontation, for alignment. She left the house the next evening, claimed it was dinner with friends. I waited 20 minutes, then drove out. They checked in. I followed, room 406. I filmed the hallway, captured the timestamps, paid cash, no ID, clean. I left after 30 minutes. I didn't need footage from inside. I had what mattered, what would hold up, what would shame her publicly without crossing a legal line. The plan wasn't about catching her. It was about making sure everyone else did. I gave her no reason to suspect I knew. She smiled more the following week. Started initiating conversation again. Small touches. She mistook my calm for detachment, not design. I told her I was considering a side business and needed time to focus. She encouraged it. Anything that kept me busy. I let her cook. I let her clean. I let her feel normal. Meanwhile, I logged everything. The hotel receipts, matched to her movements. The GPS shadow trail from her car, quietly recorded through the onboard service I reactivated without her knowledge. Geo-pings cross-checked with her burner's message timestamps. Every connection between her and the other man was verified. I ordered a voice recorder that activated only during speech. I placed it inside a pen in her purse. The next morning, she grabbed it without thinking. By the time she left for her next errand, the device was live. I didn't listen to it right away. I logged it. Date, time, event type. My goal wasn't to react. It was to build. After 5 more days, I had enough to tie everything together. Photos, recordings, text threads, billing records, GPS movements, and timestamps. Her next move was to suggest a weekend trip to reconnect. I agreed. But I booked us a couples package at a lodge her affair partner's wife followed online. Public, scenic, share-worthy. I made sure we'd be photographed. I tagged her in a photo that weekend on a public account I rarely used. It showed her smiling beside me, visibly relaxed. The caption was generic, but the metadata on the image, embedded with location, time, and device. If his wife was watching, which I was betting she was, she'd know exactly when that photo was taken, and that it overlapped with a text he sent claiming he was out of town. I didn't have to ruin her. I just had to put her where ruin could see her clearly. By the 3rd week, the gaps in her story grew smaller. She'd learned to delete threads faster, hide receipts, double-check her mirrors, but she still trusted the structure, believed the routine protected her, believed I was still in the dark. I changed tactics. I began collecting background on the other man. He wasn't just some fling. He was married, 2 children, a joint mortgage, an Instagram page that hadn't been updated in 2 months, yet his wife still liked every post. Patterns matter. I used a free trial of a background search tool, pulled his work records, emergency contacts, property records, license plate history. He had a predictable life, dependable, traceable. I drafted a simple message, not threatening, just factual. 3 hotel receipts, one audio file, a still shot of her hand on his wrist in a hallway. I packaged it clean, zipped it, and encrypted it, labeled, "You deserve context." Then I waited. 4 days later, the wife's profile vanished from every platform. His photos disappeared, his LinkedIn updated to "currently exploring new opportunities." My wife didn't know yet. She laughed more that week, made dinner reservations, suggested inviting a few of her friends over. Normalcy, the camouflage of people who don't believe in consequences. I went along with it. One evening, while she was in the shower, I placed the second phone back in her purse. I had cloned its data the night before. I didn't need it anymore. She found it 2 days later and panicked. She asked if I had seen it. I said no. She believed me, because she had to. It started with a dinner. She invited friends, not ours, hers. I agreed, smiled, hosted, stayed quiet, the kind of quiet that people interpret as polite disinterest. But I was listening. 2 of them worked in HR. One had recently switched companies, told a story about someone getting fired for inappropriate conduct on work devices. Everyone laughed. She did too. Unaware she was living on borrowed time. After they left, she asked if everything was okay. I said I had a lot on my mind. She offered to talk. I declined. I moved our joint account notifications to a private inbox, adjusted the spending alerts to trigger with lower thresholds, watched for hotel charges, cash withdrawals, ride shares. Small ones showed up, round numbers, tip amounts she wouldn't normally leave. I made sure her credit card was tied to a loyalty account I could track, one she'd forgotten I set up. It was linked to her email, but forwarded to mine. She didn't just cheat, she subsidized it. I waited for the next meetup. I knew it was coming. She was too predictable. Her rhythm had never been disrupted, and she believed she was winning. That Friday, she left at 7:42 p.m., said she was going to the movies with coworkers. A late show. I nodded. She didn't ask why I wasn't curious. At 8:17 p.m., I uploaded a folder. It contained images, receipts, GPS trails, and the audio file from her purse. No commentary, just a compressed .zip with a timestamp and her name. I sent it to her boss. I sent it to her affair partner's new employer. I sent it to 3 friends she'd invited over the week prior. Then I turned my phone off. By the time she got home, the story had already left her hands. And for the first time, she realized it. She knew the moment she stepped through the door. Not because I said anything, I didn't. But she could feel the shift. The stillness of a house no longer pretending. The way silence wrapped around everything with purpose. She asked if something was wrong. I said no. She asked if I was upset. I looked at her, then past her, then walked into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, sat at the table, didn't offer her one. She followed, tried to speak. I held up a hand. She stopped. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from her boss. Short, formal, requesting a meeting to clarify recent concerns. Then another, her friend Emily. What the hell is going on? Then silence. No more buzzes. She put the phone down and stared at it, pale, motionless. I drank the water, checked the time, said I was going to bed early. She stood in the hallway for 20 minutes. The next morning, she was already dressed when I got up. No breakfast, no coffee. Her eyes were red. I left without saying goodbye. At work, I checked the email bounce logs. 2 of her contacts had forwarded the evidence package. One of them attached a message, "This changes everything." Her boss never replied. But the company website removed her bio by the end of the week. She stopped texting by the 3rd day. She called once. I ignored it. She left a voicemail I didn't listen to. I didn't need closure. I had documentation. I moved the files into cold storage. Offline. External drive, labeled plainly and stored in a box with nothing else, not for safekeeping, just for closure. I changed all my passwords. Email, cloud bank utility, storage. I reissued the 2-step verification codes and moved them to an authenticator device only I carried. She tried logging into the shared streaming accounts, got locked out, tried to reset. No recovery path. I changed the usernames too. I wasn't being petty, I was finalizing. 3 days later, she moved out, said nothing, left her key on the table, packed light, no drama. That night, I reset the locks, not symbolic, tactical. I filed the separation paperwork the following morning, paid the fee. My attorney didn't ask questions. He'd already seen the folder. There was no negotiation, no demand. She didn't contest. There was nothing to say. Everyone had already seen what they needed. I updated my mailing address, shut down the shared credit account, transferred ownership of the car, switched my emergency contact to no one. It felt clean, not empty, just finalized. 2 weeks passed. I got a letter addressed to both of us. Bank error. Nothing malicious. I shredded it. Made a note to close the P.O. box sooner. She hadn't tried to contact me again. No texts, no calls, not even through intermediaries. She understood the difference now between being removed and being overwritten. I reviewed the folder one last time. Evidence, timelines, receipts. I didn't feel anger. I felt closure. The kind that comes from systems functioning correctly. Some stories don't need to be kept. My house was quiet, not empty, just clean. I replaced the old couch, ordered new kitchenware, not because I needed it, because it hadn't been chosen by her. Patterns matter. Her name faded from the digital history. Search results pushed deeper by new content. Tagged photos vanished. Friends stopped referencing her. No one invited me to explain anything. That part of life was written off. At night, I read in silence. Sometimes I went days without speaking to anyone. Not out of isolation, just design. There was peace in engineered solitude, because solitude doesn't lie. The final piece came in the form of a mutual friend's message. Not direct, just a vague inquiry. "Have you talked to her lately?" I didn't respond. 2 days later, a second message arrived. Different name, same question, different words. "She seems off. You good?" That confirmed it. She'd started talking again, not directly, just circling, mentioning me to people who still floated in the same social spaces, probing, fishing for reputation damage. It didn't land. Her version lacked detail. Mine had receipts. She tried to paint herself as confused, misled, misunderstood. But silence makes better noise than excuses. The people who mattered already knew. The rest didn't care. That was the final thread, one attempt at rewriting history, a version where she wasn't responsible. So I wrote one last email, not to her, not to friends, to the admin of the private network where I'd quietly published an anonymized version of the timeline months ago. I posted a final update, time-stamped, verifiable, precise. Then I archived the thread. No fanfare, no signatures, just documentation. That was the end of it. Closure isn't a conversation, it's a condition, and I had it. It took less than a month for her digital presence to flatten. Her profiles still existed, but they'd gone quiet. No new posts, no tagged images, the kind of inactivity that suggests either shame or exile. I checked once, not curiosity. Confirmation, she was still attempting a version of life. Vacation photos without captions, generic inspiration quotes, new username but recycled photos, the kind of pivot that pretends nothing happened. I didn't respond. I unsubscribed from mutual threads, left group chats that hadn't been used in months. I deleted old photo backups, cleared the shared calendar, erased birthdays I didn't need. Digital housekeeping. Offline, things stayed clean. I didn't explain to coworkers, didn't offer a narrative to acquaintances. Those who mattered never asked. They'd either seen it unfold or trusted my silence more than her voice. I restructured my week, every day segmented into measurable blocks. Task, silence, movement, rest. There was no room left for noise. Some betrayals are loud, some are private. Hers tried to be both. But the way it ended? Silent, measured, permanent. The last entry in the spreadsheet was dated 6 weeks after discovery. It was labeled Final Sync. I opened the file, scrolled through columns. Every row was accounted for. Timestamps, actions taken, results. No color coding, just precision. I added one line. Outcome, complete. Closure method, strategic erasure. Collateral, minimal. Witnesses, sufficient. I saved the file, printed a hard copy, sealed it in an envelope, filed it with my legal records, not for use, just presence. The system worked. She hadn't contacted me since the collapse, not even indirectly. The silence was confirmation, not of guilt, of understanding, of irrelevance. I didn't update anyone. I didn't post a reflection. There was no memoir, no lesson, no final message. The story ended without applause, but it ended on schedule, with nothing left pending. Now I leave a question. Would you have acted any differently if you were in my shoes? Thanks for watching. Like, share, and let's hear what you think. Until next time, take care.